Hello, fellow Crusaders, and welcome to the latest episode of the Movie Crusaders Chat About. My name's Sean Wasserkrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. It's been about 2 weeks. Like we said in previous episodes,
closer to 3, I think. Yeah,
right. It was before Godzilla Minus One came out.
Yeah.
Because we were literally like days from that coming out when we shot our last episode. Like you said, holiday season. I work retail. Brian works in packaging, so this is a busy time of year for us. So by the time we get done working, we're pretty tired.
But in a couple weeks, you're going to have more content than you can handle. So with all the end of the year stuff coming out, so
yes, exactly. And I'll say it again probably at the end of the episode. We will at the end of the year we will have our best films of the year, worst films of the year, most disappointing, most surprising. Those videos are usually long. I don't know when we're going to do the award show. We usually wait till Oscars is close, but did they even announce when the freaking Oscars are coming out yet this year? Next year, is it April?
Oh yeah, that's a long time. I don't remember the date offhand, but it's February, March.
Well, I just didn't know because of the whole strike if that got pushed or
I don't think so. I think enough stuff came out that they're going to push it for that.
If all else fails, we might shoot that sooner than later for that. But anyway,
and most anticipated, which is my favorite.
Yes, most anticipated. Which that one, yes. Now that we're actually getting some trailers for this shit, that one's always gonna be more fun. Most of the most fun because you get to see us at our most excited, and then we're at the end of the year where it's like, yeah, well, none of that shit came out. But this year hasn't been that bad. There's only been
it hasn't been. I actually made a list on Letterboxd of like the year that wasn't, like all the films were supposed to come out this year that didn't.
I saw that list.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, honestly, when I went into that.
I think compared to like the last couple years where it's been like 10 or more, I think maybe only like 5, maybe 6 movies that were on my anticipated.
There's only a few major ones. And there was some stuff that got bumped a long time ago. Like it wasn't because of the strikes; it just production dates changed and things like that. But there are only a few major ones that moved.
Here's the real question. I know we're segueing, but you know what? This is our show. We talk about whatever the hell we want. Will we, at this time next year, will you have been able to get to finally see Toxic Avenger?
Yes.
You think so?
The fact that this year it actually did show at multiple film festivals tells me that it's going to come out probably not in theaters, probably going to be streaming or VOD or whatever. But I think it'll be out before summer, even sometime early part of the year.
Because this before King Bear, this was like the holy grail for Brian, was trying to get Toxic Avenger. He's just happy that it exists and he can rub my nose in it, because I kept telling him that this is not happening with the cast that we got. But now we know that's real, because even the trailer we got was still bare bones as shit. It looked like a fan trailer. But anyway, we got a few things to talk about. Nothing super crazy in terms of movie news. It's actually been relatively quiet outside of like the Golden Globe nominations, but we've watched a lot of stuff like we do every year. When we get near the end of the year, it's kind of like our catch-up time, so we can try to make sure our end of year lists are more padded and just more, fleshed out, especially for our worst. Because if you remember, anyone who watches our show normally, our half year review, we normally do a top 10 worst films of the year, but at half year we were like, we haven't really watched that many bad things. I think we only had I think you had 5 and I had 3 movies. I can safely say that I now have at least 10 now. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I can at least have an actual top 10 worst films of the year. But this is the time of the year where we try to play catch up. Not more so than Brian, because Brian, you just watch shit throughout the whole year. I get behind on stuff. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff that we've watched since we last spoke. And then, of course, we've had an enormous amount of trailers. We're not going to talk about all the trailers. We're going to talk about a lot of them. We're not going to talk about all of them, because then we'd be here all night. First things first, we're going to go over what we've watched since we last spoke. First things first, if you guys obviously followed the channel, the last video I posted was Godzilla Minus One. It is my current #1 film of the year, which, I mean, it's midway December. It's going to be very, very tough for someone to overtake it. Maybe a movie that comes out next week could do that. I don't know. We'll see.
Migration? I didn't think you liked that much. Okay, cool.
Which movie?
Migration?
Oh yeah, you know what though? You laugh at Migration, but that is a charming as hell trailer.
Okay.
I actually I don't feel it's gonna crack a top 10 or anything, but I actually don't hate that like especially for Illumination because you know how I feel about Illumination.
I do know how you feel about Illumination.
That looks fun. It looks fun. I'm not mad at it. If anything, Illumination's winning me over because of Mario Brothers and now potentially this. It's maybe they're turning a leaf. I mean, the way I feel about Illumination is the way you feel about A24, which is
Ooh.
just outright hatred.
With
But
an occasional good one in there, yeah.
exactly. So
Which we'll talk about that later in the trailers. So.
yes, I am hopeful that Migration might actually be decent. I'm not like gonna go to the theaters and see it. I might wait for it to come out on digital unless I can, unless I'm really bored one day, which I just have too much crap to watch even to go do that. Unless, the kids or, Kimberly wants to go see it, then I'll go see Migration, which I don't think that's going to happen. But we've had plenty to watch. I think I still got about 20, 30 movies I'm still behind on that I want to check out. I probably might only get to check out like 5 or 10 of those by year's end. But we've been watching a lot. But like I said, Godzilla Minus One, I loved that movie. Easily the best Godzilla film I've ever seen, and that's saying from someone who's watched every single one except for, and I know any true Godzilla fan watching this is going to be mad at me. I have not watched Shin Godzilla yet. I heard that was really good, but the problem is that it's not streaming anywhere, and I'm too busy buying Christmas stuff for other people to shell out the money to pay for Shin Godzilla. So until it comes available for me to watch somewhere free, I haven't watched it yet. But based on all the other Godzilla movies, I felt like Godzilla Minus One was a masterpiece in terms of Godzilla. I loved it profusely, especially, and Brian, you can attest to this because I told you about this as well. I mean, you watched it, so we're going to get your take on it here real quick. Is you take a character that I love with Godzilla and you combined it with one of my favorite movies of all time with Jaws. That was brilliant. I literally was watching the movie, and Brian knows this because he's seen me do it. Not through our stinker movies, but everyone that knows me or has seen me watch movies knows that when I'm fully enthralled to something, I lean forward. And if I'm leaned forward, that goes, oh, Sean's hooked. And right when there's like, oh, are we? Shut up. As soon as we were like, are we Jawsing this? Is this Jaws? I was like, oh my god, I was so happy. But you watched it. I know you didn't love it as much as me, but you're also not a huge Godzilla fan like I am.
Team Kong.
Yeah, yes. Brian is Team Kong. I'm Team Godzilla, which we will definitely be talking about that a little later. But what were your thoughts of Godzilla Minus One?
I went into this, I don't know what kind of expectations I had going into this because I'm not a huge Godzilla fan. When I've looked at any of the old ones, I think they're ridiculously horrible. Just because, I mean, the production value and there's just silly and stuff. And I get it. There's a market for that. There's people that like that. Not for me. As far as the recent ones, the 98 one, I don't love it, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
God,
I still have fun with it.
Godzilla 98's hot garbage.
I still have fun watching that movie. 2014 wasn't even about Godzilla. He was barely in it, so that one's kind of boring as shit. Although I love the cast of it though. I love the cast of it though.
I really like that Godzilla movie.
King of the Monsters, I think that they learned a lot and they put a lot more, actual action with the Godzilla and the other, Titans in there. And I thought it was a step forward. It still wasn't perfect, had some issues with that. But honestly, Godzilla versus Kong, I loved. I really enjoyed that movie a lot. So I went into this one, I'm like, okay, I saw the trailers for it and I was kind of like, wow, this actually looks like it might be really good. So I'll at least check it out. Because normally I probably wouldn't have even seen it in the theater. Got a chance to go see it.
Normally we don't get the Toho Godzillas in theaters here. We haven't gotten Toho Godzilla movies in here unless it's like a flashback. Hey,
it's like a one night only Fathom event thing. Yeah,
exactly. We don't normally get the Japanese Godzillas here. So when they were like, no, we're dropping it, like, ooh, we got to pay attention to this. Because if it hadn't got released in theaters here, I probably would have heard about it, but I probably wouldn't have gotten to see it, But yeah, so I mean, it was definitely something different.
So I went and saw. I decided I'll go see it in the theaters because it looks great. And it was showing in IMAX for like one night only and stuff. I'm like, I'll check it out. And I really, really enjoyed this movie a lot more than I expected to. I think that the special effects, honestly, are really good for what they've done on their budget and things like that. I mean, there's still some things here and there, but it's still for what they made this for. It's leagues above the other Toho stuff.
Fucking
Um,
$15 million.
yeah,
15. It is ridiculous that there are movies like Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny, The Flash, shit like that that's using 300 million and looks like that. And
yeah.
this is 15 million and looks like this.
But
Where's
what
the money
surprised
going?
me, and I know surprised you in your review as well. I'm not going to go very long on this. This is
Yeah.
just this what we watched section. Is like you said, it was the human story. I was not expecting that, and it was like I was watching this movie thinking, if you took Godzilla out of this movie, I'd still be interested in watching this story. It was just
First time I've ever felt that way in a
Yeah.
Godzilla movie. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I was pleasantly surprised. It's not my number one movie of the year by any means. It probably won't even make my top 10, but I really enjoyed it a lot.
We're going to get to the end of the year, and I'm going to get to your top 10, and you're going to have something in there that I hate. And I'm going to bring, you thought this was better than Godzilla.
Oh, I'm already waiting for that, especially after
Oh.
last year's The Batman fiasco.
Yeah, but by year's end, I was kind of like, I mean, it wasn't fucking you saying it's better than Morbius was better than Batman, but at least mine, I was like, I can understand why you didn't like it as much as you did, but at that point, you're just trying to be hurtful with the Morbius line. What else you saying?
I got a chance to see American Fiction with Jeffrey Wright.
You did,
which
because that trailer intrigued me. Obviously it's not available in my area.
it was entertaining. It wasn't a perfect movie, but I enjoyed it. I think Jeffrey Wright did a great job. Like at my end of the year list, he'll probably be on there for Best Actor. Especially the way it ended, kind of left me cold, which kind of killed my rating for the movie a little bit. But I enjoyed that. I caught Dream Scenario, which the concept, the premise had me for a while. And I enjoyed it, and then like it took this turn about halfway through, and again it was still okay, but it kind of lost me as well. Seems to be a trend in the movie.
The Nick Cage movie went Nick Cage.
Yeah. I know we both watched Family Switch.
We did, and let's just both get this one out of the way.
Yeah,
I had to talk about this tonight outside of the show, and I thought I didn't have to talk about this movie until we talked, but apparently I had to talk about this movie again.
it was kind of what I expected. It's a total formula cliche movie to the point where like I literally was watching it with my wife, and like 5 minutes in, I said, "Okay, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. This is gonna happen." Step by step, everything I predicted happened exactly the way we expected it to. So it's like, is it awful? No. Is it harmless? Just Christmas time family film to watch? Sure, but don't go in looking for anything original in this movie.
Oh, I disagree. This movie is fucking awful. It is one of my worst films.
Well, I didn't like it. I didn't get a good rating.
I hated this movie. Hated it. And that's what sucks, because I like the cast. I like Jennifer Gardner. I like Ed Helms. The daughter is the character who's best friends with Wednesday and Wednesday. I liked her in Wednesday. The son is the kid from Good Boys, who played Thor. That kid was hilarious. He was also in the Mighty Ducks TV show. He was fine in that too. I like the cast. Also, what's his name from Army of the Dead that we liked, who also did Army of Thieves? He was, which his character just nothing. It's just
He had to hang out with CGI babies and dogs the whole time.
Jesus, the CGI baby. There was.
We're talking Ally McBeal's dancing baby. That's the level of CGI they use in this.
Exactly, like 90 CGI bad.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it's like I didn't dislike the characters. Like I didn't dislike any of the performances. I didn't dislike anything. It was very formulaic, like you said, and like you, I was all able to go bang, 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 bang. This is what's going to happen. And like my girlfriend came into it like with 20 minutes left, and she's like, "What are you watching?" I was like, this movie that Brian and I were hoping was going to be decent, but it fucking sucks." And in that 20 minutes, she was tearing it apart. She doesn't watch movies the way I watch movies. But this movie has zero concept of time. Like, there's never a problem. Like, what time of the day is it for these people? Because like the girl is like constantly missing school, and like during the soccer game thing, I'm sorry, sports commentators don't focus on a scout like that. They don't focus on a
Especially
random
a high school soccer game.
yes,
Yeah.
a high that's playing in
That
like
takes
a
place in
pro
a stadium.
yeah, it's a pro football stadium basically, and they're focusing on this one woman running down the steps. I'm like, no, like what are we doing? What are we doing? There was so much just blatantly dumb, and of course, just like I said, if it's a Jennifer Garner movie, it must be in her contract that you had to have a dance sequence in this movie because they have one, and like you said, the one thing you hate is how does everyone know all the fucking dance moves? Because it's just
They all
this
join
movie
in
was
for choreography. Yeah.
this movie was fucking awful. It was bad.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hated my experience with it. But a movie that I didn't hate, that you and I were both going in with low expectations, but you still probably haven't seen it because if you have seen it, you haven't told me, was Candy Cane Lane. We both want because we like Eddie Murphy, but Eddie Murphy just can't. I don't know if he can't get out of his own way or he just doesn't want to pick anything good anymore. He's just picking a paycheck. I don't know. But we both looked at the trailers like this looks bad. And it's not good, but I'd say it's average. But I didn't hate it. I think Eddie's good in it. Jillian Bell is in it more than we thought she was going to be in it, but she's fine. She's Jillian it up, which to
That was
some
gonna be a big deciding factor for me. Is was she annoying Jillian or was she funny Jillian? So if you think she was fine, then maybe I'll check it out.
She teeters. She doesn't go Rebel Wilson territory with it, if that's what you're worried about. I think she's fine. I do think that the third act completely goes off the rails, which most of these
Told you
movies
there's a
have to
trend
do.
tonight of everything we watched. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, the whole third act goes off the rails. But I didn't hate it, and like I said, they try to make a little more dynamic with the family, but at that point, you just don't care about the kids' storylines because you're focused on Eddie Murphy and this
Mhm.
this thing. But they set up a storyline and a goal, and I'm like, okay, then there's a mission, there's a goal to go through this. Like if they can stay on this, it's gonna work, and they do, but then they keep trying to veer off, and then they try to take a storyline element that doesn't matter, and they try to force it into the main initiative, and that just kind of makes it all messy, and then they try to like over add shit to it. But at the end of the day, it's harmless. It's not awful. I didn't hate my experience with it. Like I said, I didn't love it, but based off of how you and I were going into it, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You go to your next one.
Yeah. I'll just go through this real quick. Leave the World Behind. Really liked the cast and really liked the tone of it. The sense of dread and everything, but the ending completely fucked it. Or the non-ending, I should say.
I am an hour into it, and I don't really care to go back to it. I don't. I told Brian before, I was like, I really don't care.
I saw Wonka. Didn't love it. Didn't hate it. It's there it is.
I will be seeing that this weekend, so there will be an actual review for me on the channel for it.
I got to see both the Abyss Special Edition and Die Hard back in theaters. So those are both awesome to see back on a big screen.
Well, duh.
And then the last thing, it actually wasn't a movie, it was a TV show. I wanted to talk about Obliterated. It is a comedy that is on Netflix. I blew through that. It's a ton of fun. It's like hard R comedy action series. It's like 8 episodes long. It's from the same guys who created like Cobra Kai as well as the Harold and Kumar movies. They worked on those, and so it's a lot of fun. I should check it out.
I haven't watched it yet, but I remember seeing it as like a Facebook ad on my Facebook, and I was like, oh yeah, that thing. And you're like, I really like it. I'm like, all right, I'll have to check it out at some point. Also, I haven't started yet. But season 2 of Reacher, first 3 episodes dropped. Did you get to watch any of it yet?
I've watched 2 of them so far.
How is it?
It's Reacher. I will say it's not grabbing me as much at the beginning as the first season did, but I mean it's still enjoyable. It's like I'm waiting for it to really kind of get going.
You're waiting for it to kick it into the next gear and get you where you're at. Okay. Was there anything else?
That's the end of my list.
That's your list? Okay. Real quick for mine, like I said, mine are gonna be a little bit longer because me being the reviewer. I finally watched No Hard Feelings. Which was a movie that you and me were verbally bashing since the trailers got released. But you said you saw it and you said it wasn't awful.
It wasn't awful. I didn't find it all that funny either. It was just kind of okay. It's like if not for her nude scene, I would be like completely forgettable.
I didn't hate it. I watched it with the girlfriend. She enjoyed it. And if you watch it with somebody and they're enjoying it, it's kind of, you can kind of like, enjoy it with them kind of thing. And I was telling Brian, I was like, I didn't hate it. I actually liked it. But had I watched it by myself, maybe I probably wouldn't have liked it as much, but I was kind of feeding off of her
would have liked
energy.
it differently.
Yeah. I mean, she was
Rewind.
shut up. I mean, I was feeding off of her energy and what she was enjoying with it. I think it's a solid R-rated comedy. It's not something that I am going to remember next year or anything like that, which is weird because we're going to be bringing this movie up during the Golden Globe nominations for some fucking weird ass reason. But yeah, it is what it was. It was better than I expected it to be, which I expected it to be shit, and it was better than that. So I'll give it the credit where it's credit's due. I also watched a movie that Brian told me I was going to hate, which was Please Don't Destroy. I finally watched that. I remember when you first announced this movie, I was like, this looks fucking stupid because I don't like, I grew to hate Saturday Night Live. I used to love it. Now I can't stand it anymore. And these are Saturday Night Live guys. And it looked stupid. But then when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, it's like Without a Paddle. Colored me intrigued. And then Brian told me, you're going to hate this movie. And I was like, you know what? I need to watch some stuff to pad my worst movies of the year list. So let's put this on. It's only an hour and a half.
And
I don't like it. There were parts that I liked, but it was really fucking stupid.
That's about on par, in my opinion of it. Yeah. Okay.
I would say it's a mix of, and this is, I feel like this is fucking spot on, is like Without a Paddle, but has the humor of Dude, Where's My Car, but nowhere near good acting.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because
I feel the humor is closer to Hot Rod just because I think they're basically really trying to be the Lonely Island.
I honestly barely remember Hot Rod. That's the thing. So I can't.
Well, I don't want to say Pop Star because Pop Star was actually really fun.
No, Pop Star is hilarious. I can't remember Hot Rod enough to gauge it with that. I remember like, oh, mine is Rod, I like to party. That's the only scene I remember from that movie, which is probably the only funny part from Hot Rod. But I loved the banter between the three. Like when they were bickering back and forth, I laughed at those moments. I enjoyed those because it was those quiet little like last second digs. Kind of was.
See, and that's what most of their digital shorts, because that's all they did on Saturday Night Live was the digital shorts, and that's the kind of thing that most of those were. So it's like you give them this bigger world to try and play a whole like actual big plot in. It's like I'm not sure they really work in that.
And that's when it started to really fall apart for me, is when they were branching out and they were adding other characters in. When it was just those three, I actually didn't dislike the movie. I actually was intrigued. Okay, I do need your help though, because these three guys were driving me insane. I'm talking about like in a remember what we always do when we watch stinkers, recasting. Who do they look like? Who do they look like? Two of them I had spot on. The one with the shaggy hair and glasses, he looked like somebody, and I couldn't fucking get it. The redhead looked like Anders from Workaholics. I had Anders the entire time. The short one was basically a chubbier Adam Scott to me. But for some reason, I could not get the third guy, and it was driving me insane. And I was like, if Brian was watching this with me, we would have had somebody within 3 seconds. But Anders from Workaholics was the ginger kid, and a chubby, shorter Adam Scott was the short guy. But glasses, I had a hard time with.
I can't really place it that quickly though. I don't know.
It's like, because the easy answer would be Paul Dano, but I'm not gonna go that route.
I could see that a little bit.
I could see Paul Dano, but I was like, it wasn't him, it was somebody else, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And it drove me insane the whole movie. The whole movie, it drove me insane. And I was like, I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna hope you give me someone, and you didn't.
I got nothing for you.
Oh god, it's gonna be that gnawing thing on the back of your neck I can't get rid of. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But like you said when you first watched it, I'm not against checking them out again in something else. And maybe they might have a pop star situation where they just need to get this one out of the way. And Maybe they'll make something better. But no, this movie's not good. It's not good. It's not the worst of the year. But it's definitely going to probably be in my worst of at year's end. Now, going to a movie that is definitely going to be in the running for worst of the year. Good Burger 2.
This is all you.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Look, was I expecting a masterpiece out of Good Burger 2? Fuck no. Hell no. And the reason why this, because here's the thing. Is it a worse movie than Fool's Paradise? Yes. But here's the deciding factor that's really going to save it from which is the worst movie of the year, Good Burger 2 or Fool's Paradise. Good Burger knows what it's doing, and Good Burger is intentionally doing this shit because it knows that it's dedicated towards fans of the original Good Burger back in the 90s, and also it's still directed towards kids. So it's intentionally being stupid. Fool's Paradise is not intentionally trying to be stupid.
Yeah, it thinks it's high art comedy. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's really where it falls, is that Good Burger knows what it is, and it's riding it all the way to the sunset. You're on board or you're not, and even when you're on board, it's like, I'm done with this ride. Fool's Paradise is, that was just depressing to watch. But now Good Burger 2 is freaking awful. It's so damn awful. Luckily, like I said, it was like under an hour and a half, but there were maybe a couple of chuckle moments, which is less I can say for Fool's Paradise. Also, Leo. I watched Leo, which was the Adam Sandler turtle animated film. Didn't hate it. It's charming in its own way. Wasn't expecting as much singing as we got in that movie. It was very much a musical, if of anything, in that movie. If you hear Adam Sandler sing once with the Hanukkah song, you've heard him enough times, and Adam Sandler sings like 8 times in the movie. And the kids are all singing, and they're pitchy and shit throughout the movie. But when they're not singing, Leo's a charming animated film. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but it was solid. It was good for what it was. It's not something I would say you guys have to go out of your way to go see, but it was, for what it was, decent. If we're gauging it on Adam Sandler's Netflix films, it's in top 5. But
that's a low bar.
I know it's a low bar because you basically have Hustle, Uncut Gems, then probably Leo, and then the rest is dog shit. But yeah, so Leo wasn't that bad. May, December, I watched that.
I have not seen that one yet.
Well, you said you weren't going to.
I'm still on the fence about it. I don't know.
If it wasn't on Netflix, I wouldn't have. But because it was on Netflix, I'm like, you know what? Natalie Portman. I love Natalie Portman, and I don't hate Julianne Moore. And I heard great things about I'm blanking on the actor's name, but they're saying he's gonna be a front runner for supporting actor. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it, let's watch it.
Charles Melton.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna put his picture up, and you guys are gonna have to go with me because the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, who's this guy remind me of? And no, I'm not a fan of the show, but I know the meme. This guy looks like handsome Squidward from SpongeBob. And for anyone who knows it, here's the picture of it. He looks like handsome Squidward.
I think it looks like grown-up Rufio.
What's that?
I think it looks like grown-up Rufio.
I mean, he does too. But yeah, it was bugging me the whole fucking movie. Performances wise, there's not a bad performance in it. I think Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman are good in it. You know what kills me? This was like oh god, Ravenous bad score.
Wait, Ravenous didn't have a bad score. So
it was.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Shut the fuck up. The Ravenous score is fucking atrocious.
I love that score. Anyway.
This score is so over the top, like Lifetime a movie of the week. Like it was intentionally trying to make things seem like it was super suspicious and dangerous. And if like all they're doing is fucking eating at the dinner table. I'm like, why is this at a level 10? Like And that's how they transitioned everything in the movie. It does it like 10 times. Maybe once in this movie did it warrant it, but I couldn't tell if this movie wanted to be serious or wanted to mock Lifetime movies or just wanted to be a comedy, but not funny. Like I said, I didn't hate the performances, but and then you're expecting like this. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting more out of the ending, and the ending was just kind of that was it, and it just ended, and I was just like, I feel like I wasted my time with this movie. Like I said, performance wise, everyone was good in it. I don't think that guy deserves a nomination. He wasn't bad. He definitely got better as we went on. They gave him a lot more to do as we went on, but I don't think he deserves all this, like recognition that he's getting. I think it's a little overblown. But yeah, I almost want you to watch it because of the horrendously stupid score. But I fully expect you to not like this movie. I really, really do. My last movie, like I said, because this is where the world ends, or what the hell it's called.
Leave the world behind.
I'm only an hour into it. I'm having a very hard time making myself go back and watch the last hour of it. So I will for score purposes, but that's not what I'm talking about. I finally got to watch The Exorcist Believer. I actually was excited to watch this because of the trailer. And then I heard how horribly bad this movie was. People were ripping this film up and down, calling it one of the worst films of the year and all this kind of stuff. Well, it got released on Peacock, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to check this movie out. It has Leslie Odom Jr., who we both enjoy from Hamilton. Yeah, this movie's not good. It's not good. You watched it. What were your thoughts on it?
I did. Well, I thought it might be able to be the first good Exorcist movie. Yes, I said it. Deal with it.
Emily Rose.
No, I meant the first of the Exorcist franchise.
Okay. I was gonna say like
I thought it might be the first good Exorcist movie, and yeah.
Okay.
I didn't hate it, but it was not good. It was not good. Yeah, I agree.
The editing in this drove me insane. Like the cuts and the transition, like it drove me nuts. And there was one point in the movie. Oh God! If we had a nomination for worst performance of the year, there's this guy in this movie. Oh my God! I busted a gut. How horrible it was. I think it was when they first started to turn, and I think it's when Leslie Odom's daughter's coming in to the hospital and she's seizing. That doctor that's in there. Go back and watch that guy's performance.
I've honestly forgotten most of the movie, so I don't know.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. He's just like blah 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 blah, and then he like scurries out of the room like this. And I was like, what the fuck is going? What is this? It's hilarious. It's hilariously bad, and it's not supposed to be. It's not a spoof movie, but yeah, this God, like this movie, it's one of those things where I don't know what's missing, because it's like I would go, they didn't give enough time to the characters for us to really give a shit about the girls or anything, but they do, though. They give us enough time, but I still didn't care. And they try to drag you in by bringing in the mother from the original film, and she's in it for like 3 minutes tops and stuff, and then they try to tie it into the original exorcism with Reagan, and that really goes nowhere. And then the whole way it ends is just kind of dirty and stupid. Then they had like just unneedlessly like split. I always hate when the movies do this, where they know that their scares aren't strong enough, so they throw in like quick clips of like demons, like the shot, and it's like, if you can't scare me with what you're actually showing me, and you're just throwing in random shit to be creepy, like the Ring, then you're not doing your job. You're really not. And just the way it ended was just, it left a bad taste in my mouth. It's bad. It's not good, which sucks, because I actually was hoping to watch it going, you know what? I'm going to defend this movie. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, no, Exorcist franchise, I gave you one more chance, and now I'm just done. I'm just
Yeah, it's no thank you. I'm over the Exorcist movies. We were never big Exorcist fans to begin with, but I'm sorry. The original Exorcist was scarier, and I know a lot of people are like, well, duh, but no, that movie's not scary. I hate when horror movie trailers go, the scariest movie since The Exorcist. So scarier than every other horror film because the Exorcist is not scary. So that's not a benchmark that you want to be better than.
This is why Sean and I are friends.
Yeah, exactly. That and our hatred for Napoleon Dynamite. I literally sidebar real quick. So Kimberly's a fan of Napoleon Dynamite, and I was giving her. I know. She can't like everything we like, Brian. And
But
so
that's a deal breaker. You have to dump her now.
now, granted
Hope she
though,
can hear me. Anyway, go ahead.
Granted though, when I asked her, when I said that movie's not funny, and she's like, "What? Are you kidding?" You know what she didn't do?
Start quoting it.
Exactly. She actually tried to explain it to me, unlike every other person we've ever talked about. So, if anything, yes, you like Napoleon Dynamite, but I love you because you didn't just start quoting. Now, she eventually did, but she at least gave you like 3 minutes of actually explaining shit before she started to quote the film. And so, what I did was I brought up our episode and made her listen to the whole Napoleon I made her listen to 20 plus minutes of us just shitting on the movie. I was like, okay, you had your time. Now here's mine. I'm not even going to talk to you about it. I'm going to make you watch it. And she sat there and did it. So like I said, I love her. She took it. But yeah, that's what we've watched lately. So going to entertainment news, because there's not a lot of movie news. The year's ending really sad for me. I don't know how much attachment you have to this actor, but earlier this week we lost another fantastic actor comedian. Uh, it's Andre Braugher.
Brower.
I didn't want to say it wrong. That's why I'm hesitating. It's like I don't want to say his name wrong.
Brower.
Yeah. Most people like me know him from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I love this dude. This guy brought me so much joy and happiness on that show. I really, literally, like 2 months ago, had just got done rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So it felt even more like hurtful when I found out he passed, because I feel like I just got done spending time with him, because I just went back and rewatched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. This one hurts. Like, he's not Matthew Perry, but we're not trying to gauge people based off of that. But Matthew Perry, I had like 20 years of like love with Matthew Perry. With Andre, it really has been the last 10 years. But I love this actor. This one hurt. I Brooklyn Nine-Nine now is going to feel just a little bit sadder while watching it, just like now. Because anytime I watch an episode of Friends when it's on TV, I see Matt and I immediately start getting sad. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is now going to be like that for me. Did you watch him at all? Were you a fan of him at all? I don't remember if you were a Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan or not.
No, Andre Brower is one of those actors who I've always known who he was, but when I was like looking at his filmography, I'm like, I don't remember him in half these movies. Like he was like never like the lead in a movie. He's like a supporting character in a movie, but I've seen like 15 movies he's been in, but I don't really remember him in those roles. I never really watched his TV stuff. I know he first kind of came to fame in Homicide: Life in the Streets, and he did a couple other shows in between. And then Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I've caught a couple scattered episodes here and there, but I didn't watch it regularly. But I did like that it was kind of a different side to him. This is him getting more comedy. Now, granted, he was largely the straight man, and not completely, but
yeah,
he was kind of everybody else played against his more serious character. And but I did like that he got to kind of show some comedy, because he's known for kind of serious roles before that.
yeah.
So he's one of those guys who I respect as an actor. He was always solid whenever I did see him, but I didn't have a super attachment to him.
Yeah, because he was the serious straight man in the show, but when he kind of made him get out of his shell and him go super wacky, it was always great, especially the Halloween episodes. Because like most TV shows, each show usually takes a holiday. Like Friends was Thanksgiving, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was Halloween. And those were some of his best episodes, were the Halloween episodes, because they would do this heist in the precinct where they like, or it's basically like a big like game kind of thing. And that's where they really kind of let him go straight off character. And it's some of the funniest shit. Yeah, I mean, that dude has brought me so much fun and joy watching him. When Brooklyn Nine-Nine aired, and then again when I rewatched the entire series. But yeah, this one hurt. I had almost like the same feeling when I heard about Matthew Perry when Andre passed earlier this week. I hope we don't get anything else the rest of the year. I really don't want to get sad anymore losing someone that I enjoyed watching. But yeah, rest in peace. I've read pretty much everything from anyone from Brooklyn Nine-Nine except Andy Samberg. I haven't seen anything from him yet. I don't know if it's just because it hits him extra hard, or I just haven't caught anything he said about it. But I've heard from, I've read from Terry Crews and everyone else from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. All of them are pretty heartbroken. I have not read anything from Andy yet. I really would love to know what Andy has to say about it, but.
Might be doing like the rest of the Friends cast did when Matthew Perry died. They decided not to rush something out. They wanted to take their time, and they all put out something weeks later.
Exactly. But like I said, it's not, he's not owed anyone. He doesn't have to say anything. His character was kind of like a father-son dynamic with them on the show, and I would really have loved to have seen what Andy, thoughts were on it. But next, we're going to go to the one award show that Brian actually fucking despises. I told him this was the main topic of the episode, and he goes, I refuse to make this the main topic of the show. And he makes the title card. So we're going to talk about it briefly, but that's the Golden Globes. Brian, what are your thoughts on the Golden Globes?
The Golden Globes is not an award show. The Golden Globes is a party thrown by a small group of journalists who want to rub elbows with stars and have them come to their party, so they nominate them based on who they want to show up at their party. And that's all it is. It has no merit. They nominate things like The Tourist for best acting performances and picture. They are the ones who put The Martian as a comedy, and this year May December as a comedy. So it's certainly not a musical.
It fucking trying to be a comedy at points in that movie, so they actually are in line with that.
Intentionally or unintentionally?
I think intentionally, which is stupid.
So, but it's like it's basically an award show that means nothing. It's kind of, I don't know how it originally became like the first kind of harbinger of, here's like a good predictor for the Oscars. This is like the kickoff of award season, and it's not, because I mean there are critics groups and things that have already done some awards, but they just aren't as high profile. For some reason, this one has always kind of been like the second, the Oscars, and there was the Golden Globes. And if you want to tune in and watch the stars that you like showing up at these award shows and to see them speak, and if you're the kind of person that wants to see what they're wearing, that kind of thing, fine. But don't pretend these awards have any credibility whatsoever. There's my thoughts.
Brian, during trailers, when they announce the actors in the movie, they say Golden Globe nominated or Golden Globe winner.
You know when they say that? When the person doesn't have an Oscar nomination.
Touche. Looking at the nominations, there's a couple things I want to point out. Best motion picture drama, I've only seen one of these movies.
One. You know how many I'm probably going to see by the time the Oscars come? Or by the time the Golden Globes happen? Maybe one more.
Yeah, I'll probably see Killers of the Flower Moon. Other than that, what's the other one going to be? Maestro?
I might watch Maestro.
Okay.
Based on the people involved.
But yeah, I was like, the other ones I'm not seeing. Best picture, musical, and comedy. Fucking Barbie does not deserve to be nominated, people.
Barbie is the penultimate. Not penultimate. That Barbie is like the perfect example of a Golden Globes nominated movie. Is it a comedy? Yes. Was it good? Yes. I enjoyed the movie. I find it highly overrated. But does it deserve a Best Picture nominee? No. But it's like, this is the big movie, and Golden Globes wants to get they want to have all the stars there. They want to have songs from it there. I think we're like 3 songs nominated from it.
3 songs from Barbie.
Because they want to have the stars maybe show up and sing them. And it's just a matter of it. Yes, this movie should be celebrated because it was successful and it wasn't a superhero movie and things like that. It's something different that was successful for a different audience largely. Great. award-worthy as best motion picture, musical, or comedy? No.
I swear to God, if Barbie's nominated for Best Picture for the Oscars, I'm going to lose some serious faith in the Oscar votes.
And I've always had a problem with the fact that they break up there. I know they just want to get more movies, especially popular movies, into their nominations. But I hate that they break up the musical comedy versus drama because first of all, a lot of musicals are dramas. So that why do they decide to lump them with comedies? But also, you have things that like Air. There are definitely comedy moments in it. I still think it's a drama.
I'm happy that Air at least got nominated because Air is great, and I'm just glad that it's even mentioned.
May, December, American Fiction, The Holdovers. I haven't seen Poor Things, but these other ones, they're all dramedies at best. I mean, yes, they have comedy, and I would not call them comedies, but anyway, move on.
I agree. Director is just a combination of those films.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would think Nolan will probably win for Oppenheimer.
And the Golden Globes, probably.
Yeah. Performance by an actor in a motion picture drama. Like I said, I've only seen one of these movies, so I can't really say much, but Cillian Murphy deserves to be nominated for Oscar and for this. So I'm fine with that. Everyone else, honestly, this probably looks correct with the nominees.
I don't know anything about All of Us Strangers, but everything else I could at least see.
I do love Andrew Scott. I think Andrew Scott's a fantastic actor, so I actually am happy to see him even be nominated just because.
With that, do I know him?
Did you watch Sherlock? The Cumberbatch one?
A couple of them. Oh, I know who it is now. Okay,
he's Moriarty. He's Moriarty.
Yeah, okay.
He's fucking amazing in that. So I'm happy he's getting some recognition in something. Best performance of an actress in motion picture. Haven't watched a single one of these movies, so I can't give anything to any of them. So I apologize. Best performance by an actress in a motion picture comedy. Okay, guys, Jennifer Lawrence and No Hard Feelings.
That and there is a perfect example of we want her to come to our party. Yeah.
I could think of 15 actresses off the top of my head right now that should be nominated over Jennifer Lawrence. And I like Jennifer Lawrence, and she's decent in that movie, but she's not nomination worthy of that film. Come on, people. Fantasia, obviously we haven't seen Color Purple yet. That movie is going to be trying for me. And I'm going to get this out of the way right now. I watched American Idol when I was younger. I despised that woman. She drove me insane. She was season 3's winner. I remember her. That's how much I despise her. Now, I'm not going to carry that into that movie because it's been, like 20 years since that. But oh my God, I could not stand her because she was one.
I agree. I hated her on American Idol. Both her personality and her singing.
And her overacting, crying every 5 seconds when she would sing and shit.
She's done this role like on stage for a long time, and apparently she's really good in it. But honestly, I like Steven Spielberg. Color Purple was always like my least favorite film of his, and I love musicals. I don't even know if I'm going to see this movie. I'll be honest with you.
Outside of Fantasia Barrino, I actually like the cast of people in this, so I'm intrigued. But once again, it's not something I'm going to go see on Christmas Day. Yeah. It'll be something that eventually I'll catch on to, hopefully before award season, and I'll probably watch it and be like, it's fine. It's fine. Like I said, Jennifer Lawrence, no. Natalie Portman, okay. Margot Robbie, we knew she was going to get nominated. There was no shocker in terms of that. I'm hearing amazing things from Emma Stone from Poor Things, but that's not going to be out until next week. And even then, there's other movies I want to see way more.
I've not liked Yorgos Lanthimos movies for the most part. And I don't really like Emma Stone when she's in this mode where she's doing like her bad fake accents and she's got like her black hair and eyebrows. There's something about it I don't like her. Anyway.
Best performance by an actor in a motion picture comedy, Nicolas Cage in Dream Scenario. Is he worthy of a nomination? You saw the movie.
Probably not, but I wouldn't. It's not a travesty.
Mm-hmm. Chalamet.
I'm actually okay with most of this list, although I haven't seen Beau is Afraid, obviously. But
you refuse to see that movie.
Yeah, but I'm actually okay with the rest of this list.
I'm happy with Matt Damon for Air because I thought he was great in it. I haven't seen any of the others. You've seen Chalamet and Wonka, and you're not a big Chalamet fan. Do you think he deserves a nomination?
I don't. I have said like I said before, I like seeing Chalamet in a role like this where he gets to smile and show personality instead of just moping around like he does in most of his movies. Um, it worked for the character. I wouldn't say award worthy, but if they have to have musical or comedy category, they're going to put a musical one in there. So
yeah. Supporting actor, motion picture, which for some reason I guess for supporting they don't do separate categories anymore. They just lump them together, which once again, Golden Globes makes no fucking sense. Defoe and Poor Things, I'm sure he's worthy of it. Defoe's amazing. De Niro, haven't seen that movie. Robert Downey Jr. absolutely deserves it because he was fantastic in Oppenheimer. Gosling, I would think also, once again, deserves the nom. Like I said, handsome Squidward, I don't think he deserves a nomination in this. And I've actually heard fantastic things about Ruffalo and Poor Things. That if anything, that's what's going to bring me in to see this. Because I want to see this supposed fantastic performance by Ruffalo. Emma Stone's apparently amazing, but I know Emma Stone's amazing in a lot of things. But Ruffalo?
yeah.
I actually want to see this. I want to see what Ruffalo does.
And this is Ruffalo because he's done like the Hulk type stuff, and then he's done like dramas like Spotlight and things like that. But this is one where it's like kind of a more of a comedic role. This reminds me of like I haven't seen Poor Things, but what I've seen reminds me of a movie he did with Ryan Johnson called The Brothers Bloom. It was him and Adrian Brody, and that was a lot of fun. I like that side of Mark Ruffalo. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see this.
It's his performance that's going to make me want to go see this because, like I said, Emma Stone, I know she's great, but her performance just seems like it's going to be so over here that it might turn me off from the movie. But I want to see this for Ruffalo. Supporting actress Emily Blunt, Oppenheimer, she's good. I don't know if it's nomination worthy. Julianne Moore, okay, and like the rest of the movies I have not seen. You've seen Holdovers, so you could basically, I guess, go for that.
Giamatti's always gold, no matter what he does.
No. Divine is Divine.
Oh, we're in the supporting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was typing something. I didn't hear you move on. I could see it. Yeah, I'd nominate
her. Moving to television. Now, this would be more for me than Brian because Brian doesn't watch that much television. I'm happy to see The Last of Us get nominated for television drama. I fucking love. That's probably one of my favorite shows of the year. So seeing that get nominated, seeing Pedro and Bella Ramsey get nominated for their performances, it makes me incredibly happy. Comedy, I love that The Bear and Ted Lasso, obviously, and Only Murders in the Building all got nominated. It is Ted Lasso's supposed last year, so I kind of figured that they're probably going to sweep because they always love to do that in the last year of everyone's shows. But it's warranted because I love Ted Lasso. Brian, not so much. I mean, you like it, but you don't love it like I do. In terms of best performance by an actor in a drama, it's pretty much like all Succession and then Pedro Pascal for the most part. You got Gary Oldman in Slow Horses and Dominic West in The Crown. I don't watch either one of those shows, so I can't really gauge it. Best performance by an actress in television drama, I don't watch any of those shows except for Bella Ramsey and The Last of Us, but I do like that Kerry Russell got nominated because we like Kerry Russell. So yay, Kerry Russell for getting nominated for something. Actress in a TV series or musical, The Bear is right there. Obviously, Rachel Brosnahan from Marvelous Miss Maisel. She's phenomenal in that series. Selena Gomez is great in Only Murders in the Building, so I'm happy to see them get it. Natasha Lyonne, I was kind of hoping it would have been for Russian Doll and not Poker Face, but I haven't seen Poker Face, so maybe she deserves
Russian Doll this year still? Was it eligible?
Actually, that might have been last year. I wanted to watch Poker Face. I just never got around to it.
I liked her a lot in that movie. I think that and Ted Lasso are the only shows on this entire list that I've watched, and I like both of them. So,
actor in a TV series, Bill Hader and Barry, he might win it because it was it's last year, but he's also going up against Jason Sudeikis for Lasso. Jeremy Allen White for The Bear, he deserves it, but so does Steve Martin and Martin Short. This is like the murderer's row of nominations. Like every single one of these people fucking deserve to win. I'm not going to be upset with anyone who wins in this category because all 5 of those guys are fantastic. Supporting actor, Eben Moss Bachran. I keep butchering that poor dude's name. He's phenomenal in The Bear. I would love it if he won, and then hopefully he ends up becoming the Thing in the MCU because I fucking love this guy. In terms of best supporting actress, honestly, I would love to go to Hannon Waddingham from Ted Lasso because I love her. But actually, even though I don't like her as an actress, Meryl Streep was actually pretty fucking great in Only Murders in the Building, and that's saying something because I am not a Meryl Streep fan. And Abby Elliott, who never gets recognition, she got nominated. Good for her. Good for her. I like her in The Bear. Christina Ricci's also really great in Yellow Jackets, and I've seen an episode of it because my girlfriend watched it. Elizabeth Debicki is Princess Di in The Crown. She's actually really freaking good as it. So kudos to her. So that's actually a really good category as well. Everything else is kind of like your special stuff. So we'll just move on because Brian doesn't watch any of that other stuff. So I already talked about enough TV. Speaking of TV, though, one of our favorite actors is joining a TV series for a film franchise that we really enjoy. It's on Hulu, right? Is it a Hulu show?
I believe I think it's technically an FX show, but it's going to be on Hulu. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we know anything about the show? Or do we just know that it's based on aliens?
I think there is some information out there. You put me on the spot here. I don't know it offhand. We do know that apparently, I don't think it's been like officially announced, but apparently it's been essentially confirmed that he is going to be playing a
Android?
not android. I forget what they call them in this world.
Humanoid?
Yeah, but really, I don't, even though I know nothing about the show, we love Timothy Olyphant here. So anything he does, we're happy to watch. And to have him go into something, a franchise show we probably would have watched anyway, double good.
What sucks though is you told me about this, and I go, as long as he's not playing a fucking robot, you're like, he's playing a robot. I'm like, no, that's gonna kill his charisma. Like, I want him to be like Michael Biehn in Hicks. Like, I want him as that. I don't want him as fucking Michael Fassbender playing a flute to himself. Like, I don't want that kind of, performance, but it's Olyphant. I'm going to check it out, obviously. We're going to check it out regardless because it's a TV show about aliens, but hopefully it's more like Aliens and less like Prometheus. And
it's set 3 decades before the events of the 1979 film Alien. So it's essentially a prequel.
Well, if it's 3 decades, I would think it'd be more like Aliens and less like Prometheus then.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact plot of the show. There's nothing here, but Timothy Olyphant I'll watch.
Exactly. Then there was also an announcement from The Boys. Apparently there's a Mexico spinoff. Now, is it just a Mexican version of The Boys, or is it a spinoff that's taking place in Mexico? Because you know more about this than I do.
Oh, it's not a Mexican version of The Boys. No, it's like another group. It's in the same universe as The Boys we know. It's just this takes place in Mexico.
So it's like Gen V, but in Mexico.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else on that, or is it just that they're going to do that?
Well, no, just the fact to do that. Although I did want to say, I feel like The Boys is teetering on the edge of doing that thing where they're just gonna overreach and try to do too much and dilute it and make people just not care. Because okay, they did The Boys, great. They decided to do this Gen V spinoff. You're like, okay, we'll check it out. And actually turned out to be really good.
Technically, Gen V is the second spinoff they did because they did that animated. Was it Diabolical?
I don't really count that animated.
Okay, I'm just saying that technically that is a separate thing as well.
But technically, it is something else they've done to further dilute it. Yes. Yeah. But Gen V turned out to be pretty good, and they're doing this one, and it's like. Now, obviously, I think they're also trying to bring in a different audience, obviously, to appeal to a different demographic, right. And I suppose that's good. But it's like I don't want them to try and do too much. As soon as I heard this, it reminded me of Sony and their Spider-Man problem they've always had, where they have a hit film, like, well, cool, let's make this whole big universe and make movies of every single character we own the rights to, and they always overreach and they always screw things up. And it's
what I just don't want them to do. Is make all these spinoffs so they could have an Avengers level Boys finale where they're bringing in everybody, and it's like it worked for Avengers Endgame. We don't need it for The Boys. The Boys is so not that. It's gonna be hard enough to just integrate Gen V into The Boys, and now you're gonna be doing the separate thing, which could just be its own thing. I mean,
we don't know if it's going to interconnect. It's in the universe supposedly, but I don't know that it's going to interconnect. So maybe it'll just be its own thing. I don't know.
I mean, and granted, I haven't watched the last 2 seasons, but you had The Walking Dead and you had Fear the Walking Dead, and for the most part, you kept them separate. You would have the occasional character from one go into each other's show, but you weren't colliding both shows and mushing them together. You kept them on separate coasts of the US. So
But now aren't there like 3 more Walking Dead spin-offs now?
Well,
There's
it's
a
more
Daryl one. There's one with
Walking Dead ended. And
Uh-huh.
so now those characters, Daryl went into his own thing. So he had like, I don't know if it's a show or just a limited like season, which they did. And then Negan and Maggie, they went to like New York or something. And so that
And then
was
there's
a
a Rick
separate
one
thing.
coming, right? Rick and
I think
Michonne.
there's a Carol one, yeah. So it's not more or less that they're doing they're spreading their stuff. They're just more or less, well, the main show's over, and these people just want to keep, kind of like what they did with Joey when Friends ended. It's like, well, Joey.
Yeah, but it's like you watch one show, that doesn't mean necessarily you want to watch 4 new ones from it. It's like
for some people it might. For me,
and
it
might.
hasn't. But for some people who don't want to say no to The Walking Dead, they can still do that. I just don't want that to happen to The Boys. The Boys is a special pocket of awesomeness, and I just don't want them to spread it too thin to the point where it just kind of becomes this, I'm kind of tired of watching this, like they did with Big Mouth when they added human resources, and it's like, I don't give a shit about this.
I will say one thing about this Boys spinoff is 2 of the guys who are helping produce it and might have roles in it too. They haven't decided that yet. Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal, I think I said that right.
Which I love both those guys.
I like both those guys. So I'd like to see them be in the show, but they depending on what, I don't know the story they're going for. Maybe they aren't right for the roles. I don't know, but I'd like to see them be in it, and I hope so. I have high hopes for it. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not going into it with negative perceptions. I didn't go into Gen V with negative. I was more like, well, let's see what happens, and I was blown away by how much I love Gen V. So here's hoping that we get that as well, but just no more. Just keep it. Just do a triangle. Don't try to don't add like, oh, here's the English version or the British version of The Boys. Like, don't do that. Speaking of The Boys, we're now going into movie trailers. We finally got the first trailer or teaser, whatever you want to call it, of Boys season 4. God, it's been a while since I watched it. So
I just realized that, like, what can I remember from these? Yeah,
I'm trying to remember what happened from it.
You know what? I'll start just because I didn't have a whole lot of strong thoughts on it. I'm watching it, and it was more of an announcement teaser for me because I'm like, okay, I'm glad that it's finally kind of coming. The trailer didn't really tell me anything new. I was kind of like, whatever on the trailer, except for the fact that the addition of Jeffrey Dean Morgan is always a good thing in any show. I like him a lot. I think
integrating Supernatural.
Yeah, because it's the same guy, right? Kripke? He does that?
Yeah, it's Kripke. He's great. Yeah. When's Sam coming in? When's Castiel? When are we getting Mark Pellegrino's Devil into the show? Like, come on, bring it in. I'm in for it. I'm fully in for it.
So I'm really happy Jeffrey Dean Morgan's in there. Otherwise, the trailer didn't do much to impress me, but it does, kind of get you a little bit of hype to, it's finally coming.
Well, the big thing that I saw or noticed is that it looks like we're really starting to get to almost like, I don't want to say a civil war, but you're starting to see more of like Team Starlight and Team Homelander. We're starting to see humans picking sides, starting kind of this little like internal debate war kind of thing. And of course, you got Butcher, doing Butcher things, and Homelander doing Homelander things. And we did get to see some new characters. We don't know enough about them to really dictate what the hell is going on. But you know what? I am okay with that. We just need to see that it's being filmed. We got some scenes. We know it's coming out next year. I don't need to see anything else because anything else is just going to be too much. Much like Gen V, I saw that they released a trailer for it. I stayed away from it, and I went into that first episode and I was completely blown away and surprised. And I am totally okay with doing that for The Boys season 4. So yeah, I am going to try to avoid anything else about it because I said I don't want to be spoiled for The Boys season 4. Also, we had a trailer release for House of the Dragon season 2. I can't wait. I much like spinoffs, I don't think any of us expected to like House of the Dragon once Game of Thrones ended, but god damn, that was good. That was such a good season.
I did like the show, and I remember being mad when they aged them up because I'm like, oh, I liked the young girls.
We both were mad when they aged them up.
But then I liked the more grown up ones as well. So it all kind of worked out. But
it took like an episode. It took like an episode or two to break them in. But once you did, you were like, okay. But like, I still miss them. But yeah.
But
Uh,
this is another trailer that I mean, because a lot of the ones we're talking about premiered at that what's called CCXP or whatever. It's basically
yeah,
Comic Con Brazil, essentially what's
they
what
were
it
they
is.
were brief teasers. They were like a minute to
Yeah,
90 seconds
'cause this
long.
one
Nothing
really
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 story.
told me nothing about it.
No,
This one really was just kind of like House of the Dragon is coming back, and
yeah.
again, it gets you excited for it, but at the same time, it's like I was kind of like, okay, this didn't tell me anything except that it's finally coming out. I believe was it summer 24? I think.
I think that's usually Game of Thrones is usually a June
Yeah.
release kind of thing, or no. It's usually an April, and then it ends in June. That's
Okay.
usually what it is. Like I said, much like the boys, I'm just happy to see that they've been filming it already, so we
Yeah.
know it's getting done. I don't need to see anything else. I'm just happy to know that it's being done.
Yeah, because it's one of those shows that this new thing of like doing a season and then waiting 2 to 3 years for the season kind of sucks. I
I
gotta
mean,
say.
The Last of Us, it ended, and we know that we're not going to get the next season until 2025. They're just actually they haven't even started shooting season 2
Andor
yet.
hasn't started filming its next season yet.
No, it hasn't. It's just like, oh, come on, you guys are killing me. But it's like it's one thing when it's movies that do that, but it's like TV shows. It's like, come on, like TV shows are supposed to be every year. Let's go, let's go, let's go. The only one that else that came out, I think that came out of that expo was Fallout, which I have not seen Halo yet because I'm not a Halo fan. I probably should watch it because I think they announced season 2 of Halo during that same thing. But Fallout got a trailer. Now I'm not a big Fallout gamer. I think I played Fallout 3 for like a little bit, but I didn't like love it enough to like really invest in it. The biggest thing that sold me on this was Walton Goggins, who I love. And seeing him in the trailer is the only reason why I give a shit enough to want to check this out. Did you have any thoughts about Fallout?
I've never played the Fallout games. I'm aware they exist, but I don't even know what they're about really. So
I
I
think
went
it's one
into
of those. I think it's more like the world went into nuclear warfare. So like pretty much like the whole world is just destroyed and all these people are hiding in these like bomb bunkers underground, and then the main character, the girl, decides to venture out, and that's basically what the plot of the games are and kind of what this looks to be the plot of the
Yeah,
movie.
so I went into this cold. I didn't know anything about it. But first of all, they had me the minute they're like, from the studio that brought you, I don't remember what they said. So you brought you whatever and free shipping. I'm like, okay, we know the tone they're going for. It's like I loved, and then from there on, you can kind of see it's got. I mean, it's obviously got action and sci-fi and stuff like that.
I want
But
to
it's
say
just,
it was The Boys.
I think it was the boy. It brought you the
I want to say
boys
The
and free
Boys and
shipping.
free
Yeah.
shipping. Yeah.
And from that point on, and throughout the rest of the trailer too, you can kind of tell it's gonna have kind of a tone of fun to it as well. It's not gonna be
Oh,
like
it
it's
is, and the
post-apocalyptic
games were
thing.
like that too. The games had
Yeah,
that kind of
and
tone.
so because I was not super interested in this movie, this show, I was like, oh, maybe I'll check it out based on the cast, like Walton Goggins especially, and just kind of cool sci-fi action show, whatever. But once I saw this, now I'm actually anticipating this. Now I'm actually looking forward to this, and I want to see more about it.
It looked cool. It looked cool. Speaking of, I know we didn't bring this up in our game plan, but they announced it, and I'm super excited. They announced season 2 of Twisted Metal. So yes,
I
yes.
was not even aware of that news, so that makes me
Oh
super
yeah, they
happy.
announced it last week. They had Sweet Tooth pop on and say, oh, we're coming back. So
And
we're
season
getting
2 will, in theory, be more what the Twisted Metal, what people are used to Twisted Metal being about. So that's going to be
exactly
interesting.
because yes. So hell yeah, that was the one thing you and I were so worried about. I was like, we're finally getting Twisted Metal, and then the season ended, and it's like, no. And if you guys have not checked that out, it's on Peacock. It's fantastic. I
It's fun.
loved it
A lot
so
of fun.
much. Continuing on with TV, there's only 2 more TV show ones, and then we'll go into movies. I brought this up, I think it was last episode. Ted. Did not know Ted was getting a limited, series, but we finally got an actual trailer for it. And Brian, you saw the trailer before me, and you said this actually looks fucking funny. And you know
Actually,
what? It does.
like you, I had no idea this was even coming. And so when you said that, you sent me, oh yeah, they dropped a trailer for a Ted series. I'm like, what Ted series? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I think it's short. I think it's more like a 6-episode thing. It's
Yeah,
more a
it's like
special.
6 or 8 episodes or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's more like a just kind of a special event than it's not necessarily an
Yeah,
ongoing series. Although I suppose they may keep it going if it does well. But
true.
but it does look like a lot of fun. I know you were not big on the actor who plays young Mark Wahlberg, but I had no problem with that. I thought he looks like he's doing a pretty good job.
It's not. it's one of those things where, first off, the trailer was hilarious. I didn't realize how much I missed Ted until I saw Ted again. And I was like, oh, I actually really like the fucking bear so much. I think it's more or less, by the time Ted 2 came out, I really was oversaturated with Seth MacFarlane, and I just needed to separate myself from him. And I stopped watching American Dad and Family Guy and all that shit. So now I'm like, oh, I missed you, Ted. But the trailer was hilarious. I wasn't crazy about the actor who plays young Mark Wahlberg. I don't think the kid was that good of it. Once again, it's a trailer. We watch one episode and boom, I'll retract what I said. But just in the trailer, didn't love his performance. But I also don't buy that kid turns into fucking Mark Wahlberg. Let's just be real. Clearly, that kid takes a shitload of steroids in the meantime, which Ted would have talked him into it probably. But I just don't buy that kid turns into Mark Wahlberg and dates Mila Kunis. That's my problem with the choice.
Tell you what, go back and watch Stand By Me and tell me that fat kid turns into Jerry O'Connell and marries Rebecca Romijn.
That's not based on the movie. But touche.
But I'm saying that actor, somebody looks like that.
Know. You could also say the same thing about I know you don't like Harry Potter, but the kid who plays Neville, who grew up to be like a fucking supermodel. But I'll just say, but this kid's in high school in Ted, and he's like literally, let's say, jump ahead 10 years. He's supposed to be fucking Mark Wahlberg. That's the thing. But it looks fun. I'm excited to see it. Last for TV shows, this was one I forgot was actually a thing until the trailer dropped. A movie that you and I both have talked about on the show that we both love is finally getting a TV series, even though it's nothing like the movie, and that's either a good thing or a bad thing. I haven't decided on, and that is it Amazon? Is it Amazon? I think it's Amazon.
I think so.
Prime is doing Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Donald Glover, which I love Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I love Donald Glover. I don't know if I love the trailer because this wasn't really Mr. and Mrs. Smith to me. This was just two spies being forced to pretend they're married and then do missions together, which is kind of not what Mr. and Mrs. Smith is. So I personally didn't like the trailer. I'm obviously going to still give it a shot because it's Donald Glover, but I did not love it. What were your thoughts?
It is Amazon, first of all. This is funny because I love Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I love that movie to death. A lot of people bash it or just think it's mediocre. I love that movie. I think it's a lot of fun. This is actually the second attempt they've made at making a TV show out of it. They shot a pilot with Martin Freeman. I don't know if not Martin Freeman, Martin Henderson. Who
like Martin Freeman? What?
I don't know if you know Martin Henderson, and he's in some things like Smoking Aces and that. He was the lead character in Torque.
No, I know who Martin Henderson is. I just was more or less saying there's no way Martin Freeman.
It was him, and I'm blanking on her name, Mia in Fast and the Furious.
Jordana Brewster.
Yes, thank you. Those two were in it, but that didn't go to series, so it never got made. Heard they're making it again. It's apparently created by Donald Glover and I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I think, had a part in it in writing of it and stuff.
She's really good at writing stuff. She's just not that great on
I watched this trailer because I was really hopeful. I like Donald Glover. I like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I watched this trailer and I am so interested in this movie, and it's 99% because of the female lead. I don't like her at all, just from what I've seen of her. I don't think she looks the part. She doesn't feel the part when she was talking. I don't think she seemed like a good actress. Now, granted, I've only seen a trailer. And I know they've loaded this up with like a ton of, like, the trailer boasted like all these guest stars that are going to be on it and stuff as well. Yeah. So I'll probably check it out, but I'm really not expecting to like it, and mostly because I do not like the casting of Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, I don't like
that. It's not a racist thing. Don't even say that.
No, I don't like that it's not like they're both secret agents or both assassins who don't know that they're fucking assassins. It's just, oh no, you guys already know what you guys are. You guys are just.
It's almost like it's trying to be a sequel to the movie where now they both know and they're married and it's just they're both assassins. Yeah. And it's like, that's not really Mr. and Mrs. Smith anymore.
Yeah, and like even in the trailer, we're like, this is not a physical thing. Like, this is a mission. It's like, but that's what made Mr. and Mrs. Smith great, was that they had this passion, they got married, and then it got stale because, they were both living lies, and then they find out, like, oh, we're actually really fucking alike, and that sparks everything. But the chemistry is what made Mr. and Mrs. Smith work between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and obviously, yeah, because it started shit off, behind the scenes. But I don't buy Donald Glover, and I'm blanking on the actress's name.
Maya Erskine.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a trailer. First couple episodes could completely change that, and it could work. The trailer didn't really lead me to be like super excited for this. If anything, I was a little bummed seeing it, but I will definitely check it out. But I was bummed. I was bummed watching it because as much as I love Donald Glover, I don't know. I don't know if this one's gonna work for me. I would love to be wrong. I really, really would. Next, we're gonna go to movie trailers. Let's get this one out of the way since we talked about Godzilla Minus One earlier. Apparently, Godzilla Minus One was getting way too much praise. So American Godzilla decided, hold my beer. We're going to drop Godzilla X Kong New Empire so people can stop talking about Japanese Godzilla and start talking about American Godzilla. Yeah, just to backtrack for what Brian was saying earlier, with the MonsterVerse movies. I actually enjoyed Godzilla 2014. I thought it was actually really well done with the human cast. And I actually think Godzilla was utilized very well in that movie. As a presence, it wasn't a movie that was supposed to set the set piece for Godzilla. It was supposed to set the set piece for humans. But the rest of the movies really fucked that up. Because Godzilla, King of the Monsters, when Godzilla and the Monsters was being used, it was great. The cast, which is a fantastic cast, are annoying and overtly used, and I didn't give a rat's ass about any of them through that whole fucking film. And then Kong vs. Godzilla, once again, when Kong and Godzilla are on screen, it's fucking great. But then we had like 3 separate human subplots with Millie Bobby Brown and Brian Tyree Henry and shit. Oh my god, I hated that.
And we've always agreed that's that group, that whole subplot could have gone.
Yes, it's so much of that movie was unnecessary. And we're going back to this, and Kong Skull Island, I didn't like it when it first came out, but I think like it better now. Monarch, we're still in the midst of Monarch. We're not going to talk about Monarch till it ends. I think I actually haven't watched it past episode 3. I'm like 3 episodes behind on it now. So I got to catch up before it ends so we can actually talk about it. First off, the 2 humans that we did saw. One, I despise with every fiber of my being, and that's Rebecca Hall. Why they didn't kill her character off. Oh God! Exactly the one person I didn't want to see back in this. She's back, but I did see Dan Stevens, and I love Dan Stevens. And if there's ever going to be something that's going to keep me intrigued for the human cast, it's Dan Stevens, because that is the one thing. As much as I hate the human characters, they always cast people I like, so it makes me tolerate them until I get sick of them, and then I really start to fucking hate the human characters. But this is basically Planet of the Apes Kaiju Edition. Does it not feel like Planet of the Apes Kaiju Edition? Because you got
a little bit. The problem is the trailer did not. It was really just a pure teaser because we still don't quite know what the plot of the movie is going to be, and so from what we've seen, I can understand that comparison, but who knows?
What I want to know. And I swear to God, if it's because of what happened this year, I'm going to hate this movie even more. Why the fuck did they Barbieheimer Godzilla? They gave him Barbie pink power. What the fuck, guys? Seriously,
why does the power have to be blue? It can be pink, whatever it is.
Godzilla's been blue for fucking 70 years, dude. We don't need him to all of a sudden be pink.
What I heard with an explanation for it, and I don't know if this is official or if this is people theorizing, whatever, is that just like when he kind of absorbed that blue power from the stuff underground there, it's like I think that pink might be like a different kind of power that he's absorbing. So it's not like he's always going to be pink in this movie, but
with the year we've had with pink being this whole thing because of Barbie, and then we get Godzilla, and then all of a sudden he's pink.
Would you see? I don't think it was any. I don't think it has any connection to Barbie. Now the question is, if Barbie had not come out, would you still have hated the fact that he had that color to him?
Probably not. Probably not. Honestly.
So you're just sick of pink with Barbie, which I get. I totally understand that. But
I was like, maybe you're not.
Oh, yes. By the time it comes out, though, maybe it'll be far enough separated that it won't bother you as much.
All I know is that Godzilla is literally a nuclear lizard, and we had Barbieheimer. It's a little too coincidental. We could have at least had like fuchsia purple or some shit. Like, did we have to go pink? And pink's more powerful than the blue. And also, what you mentioned, King Kong apparently gets a fucking Thanos gauntlet in the movie because he's got this fucking big gauntlet in his hand now.
I think, and this is just from watching the trailer and theories and things, it's more of like I think the humans made that for him. Like, I don't know if like he injured his hand in the previous encounter with the new baddie or whatever, and so that's that, and to help him fight with it. I don't know.
You want to know what I immediately first thought of when I saw that? Because it wasn't the Thanos gauntlet, because that's what you said. I was like, oh, Kong got a power glove.
That's so power glove.
Yeah. It's so bad. I was like, Godzilla went Barbie, and King Kong.
I just want to see somebody saying, now Kong's playing with power.
Oh god, that is so gonna be a line in this movie. It fucking is. It so is. Like I said, I'm gonna watch it because it's a Godzilla movie. But god, that trailer just left.
I think the trailer looks great. I love the trailer, and I'm looking forward.
Godzilla minus one. This was the exact opposite of what I wanted to see. A, Rebecca Hall, and B, pink Godzilla with Kong wearing a power glove. But I'm still gonna check it out. I'm still gonna watch it. I think
it'll be better than Godzilla Minus One.
Fuck you. No, it won't.
Of course, then again, Godzilla versus Kong was better than it too. So,
you know why it won't be better? Because Rebecca Hall's still in the fucking movie. That's why. And Brian Tyree Henry's still in the movie, which means that Millie Bobby Brown might still be in the movie.
She'll still listen to the cast, yeah.
So no, because they're gonna have some stupid ass subplot. This is nowhere gonna touch Godzilla Minus One. Let's go ahead and jump to a movie that Brian has been eagerly waiting for the past 2 years now.
Which one are we talking about?
Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Also coming to streaming. That one is Netflix.
It's Netflix, but they didn't release a date yet.
Yeah, Netflix. There's not a date. If I had to guess, I'd say late spring, early summer. But that I don't know. They haven't announced anything on that. This is another one of those movies like it's supposedly been happening for the last 15 years. But then they said they were actually filming it this time. And then we saw set photos like, okay, they're actually making it. But then like we heard nothing when it's coming out. And we heard nothing. And now we got a teaser trailer for it, which again doesn't give an exact date, but it is coming out next year. First of all, Eddie Murphy at 62 years old. God damn, I wish I looked that good when I was 62.
He looks 40.
He's like,
he looks 40.
40 years old. So there's that, because especially when you have him up against like the other people from the two Judge Reinhold and John Ashton, they definitely look their age.
Judge looked rough. He looked rough.
They look their age, and he does not. But I mean, again, this is it told us virtually nothing. It's more of an announcement teaser, and I'm just happy. Again, I'm just happy to know that it's actually coming now. And it could be horrible. Number 3 wasn't good, and that was back when Eddie Murphy was in his prime. So I'm not getting my hopes up too high for this, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
I will say I was happy to see Kevin Bacon and Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it.
Mm-hmm.
I like them, so I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see some of the cast in this movie. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I hate the fucking title. Beverly Hills Axel F. What? No, either call it Beverly Hills Cop 4 or call it Axel Foley. Don't go Beverly Hills Axel F. I almost felt that was like a test thing. It's like that can't be the actual title. That's one of the
just it is last I knew it was called Axel Foley.
Yeah.
And so when I saw this teaser, I'm like, why is it Axel F? Is it just so people can be like, oh, that's that song? I don't know.
It's like, do Beverly Hills Axel Foley then. Don't just F. What the?
Yeah, it's weird.
It looked like an unfinished like title card. Like I was just like, but Eddie actually looks great. He looks great. That's the shocking thing is how young he.
I'm just happy to see him. I mean, he's back doing as far as I know, R-rated comedy. I'm pretty sure it's R, although it's Netflix. I don't know if they'll even bother rating it, because like coming to America was very disappointing. But then they also watered that down for PG-13. I mean, it had issues. It still wouldn't have been all that funny. But I have hopes for this one. I hope.
Yeah. Speaking of hopes, I love this trilogy. I didn't think we needed another one, but I heard they were making another one. We finally got the trailer for it, and you know what? I wasn't disappointed. We're getting another Kung Fu Panda. Now, I said this since I saw the first film. Jack Black was born to play Poe. I never knew how perfect Jack Black was until he played Poe. I love Kung Fu Panda so much, especially the first film, and I think the second one even is better than the first one, which is shocking. And the third one's kind of a cash grab, but it was still decent. I liked what I saw from this trailer, but one glaring thing I noticed was that the Furious Five are blink and you miss it not in this trailer, which means A, most of them probably didn't want to come back, or B, they're in it for like 2 seconds and then they're out of the movie, and then it's just kind of, Jack Black with Aquafina, I think is the new addition. Which I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna go, ugh, Aquafina, because we bash Aquafina for no reason. Because I don't know how many times you and I hate on her in a trailer, but then we actually like her in the fucking movie. So I'm not gonna.
There was a time when she was just doing her annoying shtick, but she's shown that she can actually restrain herself a little bit and be entertaining.
So I'm not gonna do that this time. But I do like. I'm not gonna lie, and you'll probably think this is nerdy of me, and I don't care. But when Tai Lung showed up, I went, oh, Tai Lung! And then he immediately went down. I was like, "Aw!" But I like this chameleon bad guy. I like this aesthetic. I like this new element. It actually was like, okay, yes, he has to learn this new level of being a warrior, because that's how it always is in every movie. He has to learn a new kind of skill level. But I like the way it looked, which Kung Fu Panda's always looked great. It's never looked bad. But this new villain element looks really cool. And I like that it looks like we could be touching base on old villains like Tai Lung, and maybe even the Peacock.
One, whatever his name.
What's
Gary
that?
Oldman's character. Yeah, I was saying I don't remember the name, but it was the Gary Oldman's character. The Peacock,
like Kung Fu or something like that. If we bring them back, and it's the voices, which I already know, Tai Lung,
Ian McShane.
Yeah, right, that was definitely his voice. So I'm if we're getting everyone back, I'm intrigued by this. I'm excited by this. I hope it matches the power and the energy that we get from the previous three.
It's funny you talked about him, having to, learn new skills and level up and things like that, because it felt very much like a video game to me, because it is like, it's like, this seems like you get to the final level where you have to fight the boss who can like morph into all the different people you've already fought in the past. It kind of has that feeling to it.
It's your Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, basically Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat. So I like that aspect of it. Kung Fu Panda is arguably my favorite of the DreamWorks animated series, because I'm not a huge Shrek fan. How to Train Your Dragon I love, but I think Kung Fu Panda edges it out just barely.
It edges it because the third How to Train Your Dragon was a great disappointment to me. So Kung Fu Panda jumps it.
But the second How to Train Your Dragon I think is one of the best animated films.
Oh, it is. It is. It's fantastic.
As far as this one though, the thing is, even when 3 came out, I felt like it was a cash grab, just because like with this and How to Train Your Dragon, once you start making TV cartoons of it, then it feels like when you go back to the making a movie, it's like, well, people are watching the show now. I mean, I didn't watch the show, but kids were. It's like, why am I making the movie? But then 3 turned out to be enjoyable enough. It was definitely not up to the level of the first 2 for me, but I still enjoyed 3 quite a bit. Honestly, I don't remember much about 3.
Well, 3 is when he found his father and all the other pandas and stuff. And 3 is the one to me that felt most like it was for kids.
Yeah. And then they started making a 4th one. I'm like, really? They're making a 4th one? And I had the same reaction you did. I watched this trailer. I'm like, where the fuck are the Furious 5? It seems like they're going to be in there for like a scene and then disappear. And it's like, no, I don't want to see a movie just about Poe. I want to see the whole group. And it's just like, maybe I'll get past that. Maybe I won't. It's been. We'll see if we actually feel their absence.
I know. I saw them in it.
That's what I'm saying. They're probably in like a scene or 2. I don't know why they couldn't keep them for the whole movie. If it's the actors didn't want to, or if they just didn't write them in the script, or whatever. But while I'm still looking forward to this because I've liked the previous 3, that is going to weigh heavily on it for me.
Yeah. Talking about another movie that had a huge first film and that we had been hearing talks about a sequel, but never really much else since then. We finally got a release trailer for it, and that is it Mad Max Presents Furiosa, or
I
is it
think it's just called Furiosa.
I thought Mad Max was a part of the title in some way.
I don't think so, but I'll check on it.
But we get Furiosa, which I like Mad Max Fury Road. I think it's a really good film. I don't think that we needed a whole Furiosa storyline like movie. Like I love Charlize Theron in it, but I didn't think we needed a whole prequel of Furiosa. Granted, that's what we're getting. Honestly, the biggest takeaway from this movie is Chris Hemsworth's very, very fake prosthetic nose to the point where he looks unrecognizable. But you know what? If he wears it and he cheeses it up, which it looks like he's cheesing it up in this, I'm open to it because a funny Chris Hemsworth is still a really good.
Yeah, Mad Max villains have always been like over the top cheese. So
yeah. Anya Taylor-Joy, I enjoy her in most things. We've never seen her in a movie like this though. I don't know if I believe in her, but for some reason I just don't know about her in this movie. What are your thoughts?
first of all, it's called Furiosa: A Mad Max Saga.
Okay, so I knew Mad Max was in the title.
I completely missed that they tagged that on there. I kind of wish they hadn't, honestly. I've always been in mixed feelings about this movie because like I was all for a Furiosa movie, but I wanted Charlize Theron. I don't want them to recast her and go younger because obviously it's a prequel. But if they had to, Anya Taylor-Joy is a good actress. So I was still very much looking forward to this. I saw the trailer. The trailer does look like just kind of balls to the walls fun, like the first one was. Just cool action, stunt set pieces. You know,
it is, but I don't want it to just be like a copy and paste of Fury Road.
Yeah,
and I'm afraid it's going to be like that.
See, I don't know. I think this one has to have more story to it because it's kind of telling the story about how she was taken from her people and things like that, and how she became. I mean, I obviously has the whole arm thing and things like that.
Yeah.
There's actual things happening in this movie as far as a story progressing of her journey. So I do not think it's going to be just like the first one, which was no plot. It was the journey there and the journey back, and it was just cool action, which I loved. Don't get me wrong, but it was not. Great. It was not a deep story movie. This one, I think, is going to have more story to it. Like you said, Chris Hemsworth in the first shot, I didn't think that was him. I was watching for him in the trailer, but I'm like, oh, that's not his character. That's somebody else. And I'm like, oh no, wait, that was him. But we've seen him obviously like in the story movies and stuff that he can have a lot of fun too, and I think that he'll be a great addition to this. It looks great cinematography wise and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to this quite a bit. It's you'll find out when we do our anticipated. It's going to be in my top few movies.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to say the least. And like I said, the first shot, I also was like, no, that's not Hemsworth. But then every shot after that, I was like, oh no, that's totally Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see the rest of the cast. I don't think I saw anyone else recognize besides Hemsworth and Anya in the trailer anyway.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody of note. Oh yeah. This is not right. Nathan Jones is in there again.
I mean, okay.
Nathan Jones. Otherwise, I am not seeing any recognizable names, so no.
Next, we have a movie that I didn't know existed until I saw the poster for it, and then we got an actual trailer for it. Brian wasn't a fan of this, but I love the director, so I'm intrigued by this. And this is Alex Garland's Civil War. Like I said, in terms of the cast, I mean, of names, you got Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons. Kirsten Dunst is, she's fine. I love Jesse Plemons, but he looks like it's more of a small part. It doesn't look like it's a big part for him in this movie. But like I said, what sells me is Alex Garland, and the story is intriguing. Also, God damn it, blanking on his name. Parks and Rec. He's the president in the movie.
Nick Offerman.
Thank you, Nick Offerman. I love Nick Offerman. The trailer was intriguing. I want a little bit more of it, but it's a trailer. I'm fine. I hope there's more to it than what we got in the trailer. If it is just kind of what that is, I'm probably going to be a little disappointed. So I hope there's a little more than what we're getting, which, like I said, it should because it's a trip. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it. You said you didn't really care for it that much because you're not a fan of the cast. Do you have any other opinions
Well,
on it?
I didn't know anything about this movie. I'd never even heard of this movie until this trailer was dropping. And when it starts off with the 3A24, that's a bad sign. But
Yes, like we said earlier, Brian's A24 is the way I am to Illumination.
that being said, one of the few A24 movies I like is Ex Machina, which is Alex Garland.
And Annihilation, which is also
I don't really care.
I loved Annihilation.
But then I mean, Alex Garland also wrote he wrote Dread. He wrote 28 Days Later.
Yeah, 28 Days Later. Yeah.
There's another one I'm forgetting. Oh, Sunshine. He did Sunshine. So I mean, obviously he can do stories. The cast is kind of holding me back. I think Kirsten Dunst is a horrible actress. I think her best job she ever did was in Interview with the Vampire, and it was downhill from there.
She was fine in Power of the Dog.
And I mean, I still enjoyed movies she was in. Like I enjoyed like Get Over It, for instance. But you know,
and I liked her in Bring It On.
But I'm not going to say she's a great actress. But especially since then, I've kind of been whatever on her. Jesse Plemons, I've kind of could take or leave. So the cast doesn't blow me out. But what I like the director for the most part and the concept of it. I think the concept is very interesting, especially in like this current day and age and political climate. Yeah. So this is one that came out of nowhere and I was surprised, but I'm like, I'm going to check this out, even with A24 on it.
I think the one thing that bodes in favor for this is that Alex Garland, and it could be the people that he has around him, but I will say this, there has never been an Alex Garland movie that I've seen that has looked ugly. Annihilation.
I will agree with that. I didn't see Men, but
gorgeous. Machina looked great. I would say the last shots of this trailer, when it was actually looking like a war zone on the U.S. soil, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see, and I'm hoping, like I said, that's the stuff I'm hoping we get more of, because that's the bread and butter of Alex Garland, is his writing and his visuals to sell the writing. The performances is where I think it could be lacking and where he goes with the story, but visually is what I love about Garland. I hope we get that with that. Next, this was a movie that, once again, never heard of, and saw the trailer and I was like, what the hell is this? This is kind of like I don't know if it's like, I'm trying to think of the movie like this. There's a lot of movies like this, but it's called Miller's Girl. It's it's kind of like I can't decide. It's like, just because of the trailer, I can't decide who's the evil person in this. I'm assuming it's Jenna Ortega.
Well, that's one thing I like about the trailer is it doesn't quite let you know if he really did anything with her or not. So is she making this up and then basically blackmailing him with this kind of thing, or did he actually do this and she's calling him out on it? We don't know, and I think it's part of the story is trying to figure out who's telling the truth.
Yeah. What the general plot is that Martin Freeman is a teacher, a writing like English teacher. Jenna Ortega is this, very, I think, what is it? She's, I wouldn't say enthusiastic, but she's very good writer and stuff like that. So he kind of, takes her in as like a pupil, gives her extra assignments and stuff, but she starts to either there's this loss of communication or something, but it looks to be an attraction or a leading on of sorts. We don't know from which angle. It looks mutual, from one way or another based on the trailer, but it does look like Ortega's character is the one who takes it further and stuff like that. So it looks like kind of like a cat and mouse kind of game to a point, but I love Martin Freeman, and this is something that we have never seen Jenna Ortega do, so I'm super intrigued by what she is showing in this trailer. But yeah, this was one of those, I watched the trailer today and I was like, oh damn, I actually want to see this movie. This was not something I was prepared to see, but I'm definitely excited that I got to see it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Was this a theatrical release or is this a streaming thing?
I think it was theatrical. I didn't see anything about streaming on it.
So
But
yeah, so I'm intrigued by it. It's now I would say the top thing that interests me is the two leads, Martin Freeman and Jenna Ortega. I think that has me interested off the bat. But also this kind of, like you said, kind of a cat and mouse, kind of a thriller, kind of a mystery, honestly, because like you said, we don't know if he really did anything or not, or if she's trying to manipulate him and blackmail him. We don't know where it's going with that. So I'm intrigued in this one. I'll definitely check out when it comes out.
there's a trailer that we forgot to discuss when we were going over stuff. I'm trying to find it real quick. Because you and I both saw this trailer. We both actually liked it, and we forgot to write it down. It's coming out in Hulu. It's a comedy, and it stars two people that we really like, and that's Anna Kendrick and Nick Johnson. It's called Self-Reliance.
Nobody buries their movies like Hulu.
Exactly, but they're always, for the most part, good. So this one is about you got Nick Johnson's. It's Nick Johnson, right?
Jake Johnson.
I was wanting to say Jake Johnson, like that's the singer. I always mess it up. So he's Nick on New Girl. So Jake Johnson. He's basically kind of a random guy. He's walking down the street and freaking Andy Samberg pulls up in a limo and invites him in. He's like, I want to invite you to join this reality show. And much kind of almost like Guns Akimbo in a way. He basically joins this reality contest where he has 30 days to stay alive. And there's these people hunting him, trying to kill him. And if he can survive for 30 days, he wins $1 million. But
they can only kill him when he's alone.
Exactly. So as long as he's got somebody with him at all times, they can't do a single thing to him.
But unless that person is the person trying to kill him, so he doesn't know who he can trust.
Because he doesn't know who's playing the game.
Yeah.
And so it's a great like dark humor kind of thing. You bring Anna Kendrick in, who we love, and this is also kind of like right in her wheelhouse as well. And she's supposedly playing the game also. So they decide to team up and stay with each other, so that way they can both win the game. Obviously, chaos ensues, but I really liked this trailer. It looks fun. Yeah, I saw this and I immediately sent it to you because I didn't know if you had heard about it or not. And I was like, oh.
I had never, and I've usually been keeping tabs on like upcoming Anna Kendrick movies and stuff, and I had no idea this movie was coming out. So this is a surprise to me. I think Jake Johnson's directing this as well.
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if this is his first film or not, but it looks fun. And like you said, Hulu seems to make good movies, and they just like to bury them so that no one knows they're coming out. So.
Yeah. Our last trailer is one that I had on my most anticipated, but it was just a plot and a cast. We didn't really know anything about it. We knew who was directing it and who was in it. We're like, oh, in theory, this looks good. We finally got a poster for it, and we finally got a trailer release for it here. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And that is the movie If, directed by John Krasinski, who I love. I think Brian enjoys John Krasinski as well. We know he's a good director. A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2. We know he's capable of stuff. But it's also starring Ryan Reynolds. And it's basically, the general plot is what if every character or person or creature that you ever imagined ended up being real?
Yeah, if stands for imaginary friends. IF, yes.
Yeah. And if it stands for imaginary friend. So if stuff like that. It's also starring I think it's Fiona Shaw. She's the young actress in this. We both know her from, but I love her performance. Brian, not so much. Is from Black Phone. She was the girl in Black Phone. I thought she was fantastic in that movie. Brian's not a fan of the movie, but I think you even attested that she was at least good in the movie.
I had no problem with any of the cast of Black Phone. No.
Which, they announced a sequel to Black Phone with everyone coming back. Don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see. But anyway, if Brian, you saw the trailer before me, and you said this movie, even with Ryan Reynolds, looks too much like a family child film, and that you're very meh on it.
It is. And now again, because John Krasinski's directing it, Ryan Reynolds is starring in it. It's got a voice cast of all-star cast. It's just loaded with people. Even the trailer just says boom, 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 all these voices in it. And so I'm intrigued to watch it, and I'll still see it. it does look a little too cutesy family, which that's the movie they're trying to make. I have no problem with that. It's just I don't like I've never seen the Paddington movies. Not my kind of thing. Maybe someday I'll watch them and love them. I don't know. But
You're gonna be
I
like
want
Nick
this.
Cage in the oh god, blanking on the movie. Pedro Pascal and Nick Cage.
Oh, the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Yes, where you're gonna be like Nick Cage, you're like Paddington, and then you're finally gonna watch. You're like, oh my god, that's actually a fantastic film. He's been fighting not watching Paddington ever since it came out, and I've been trying to tell him that the Paddington movies are actually really great.
And they might be, I don't know. But yeah, it just looked just very family friendly. You know what it looks like to me, especially because the design. I didn't love the design of the imaginary friends. It feels like Monsters Inc., the live action version, and it's like I don't really need to see that. It's like, but I'm gonna check it out. I'll go in with an open mind. But the trailer didn't do anything to sell me on it more than I was already feeling just going to see it based on what I knew about it.
What's funny is what it first came to my head. There's three things that came to my head when we saw the purple character. I don't even know what its name is. Is a freaking what's his name? The purple mascot from McDonald's. Grimace.
Grimace.
Grimace, purple people eater from like Neil Patrick Harris movie in the early 80s in the 80s. And then oh god, is it Home, the alien animated film with Sheldon? Yeah, that's Home. Like that's what he looked like. And I was like, okay, similar design. But we do see that there's like a bear, and there's like what was it that looked like one of those like puppeteering doll, like girl dolls.
The marionette.
Yeah, marionette, yeah. Like he's like I don't disagree with you that this looks like a childlike film, but like I said, it very well could be a Paddington-esque kind of film, and Paddington is a fantastic movie. So if this, with Krasinski as a director, that is to me the selling point, is you can make this movie look as childish as it is. But you got Krasinski directing it. You got Ryan Reynolds in it. Ryan Reynolds doing his Ryan Reynolds, which a lot of people will get annoyed by now, but we still love it, so I'm cool with it. You know, he's obviously got to tone it down. He can't go R-rated Ryan. He's got to probably go PG-13 with it, but he could still use his charisma for it. I like the young actress in it. I actually liked the last little gag at the end with the marshmallow. I thought that was funny. Like it worked for me. I'm not saying this is gonna shoot up my most anticipated, but I'm definitely gonna check this out. I'm intrigued by it enough to actually like, because you had me like when you said that to me, I was going and like, oh god, and I was like, yeah, this is charming. Like this is cute. Like I think this could be a fun movie. Definitely didn't dislike it, but like I said, it's not going to be like in my top 10 anticipated for next year by any means. But it's got Ryan, it's got Krasinski, which I'd be shocked if Krasinski's not at least doing a voice or something, because he always puts himself.
He is doing a voice in it.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm definitely gonna check it out. But that is the last of the trailers. Like I said, there was a lot of them, and there's even more that we didn't even talk about. Coming up next, we've got three if you count Poor Things. Big movies coming out here in the next week. We've got like I said, Poor Things, which I'm probably not gonna check that out in theaters. I'll probably just have to wait for that to drop on digital, and I'll probably check that out then. Rebel Moon, Part 1, and I can't remember what the rest of the fucking title is. Drops on Netflix. Word of mouth right now is rough. I think I checked it today, and it was like 22 reviews. It's at a 9%.
Last I checked, I saw a 26%. So I don't know.
So it has gone up. It has gone up.
It's still low, but yeah.
Yeah, it's. I've heard from certain people it's Zack Snyder's worst film yet.
Yeah, I was telling Sean, I'm like, I'm honestly, first of all, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a great movie, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's an awful movie, because it could go either way. Because it looks good, but it is a Zack Snyder original, which we have not, seen. The only original movies he's done is Sucker Punch, which was awful. Granted, parts of it looked cool, but it was awful. And Army of the Dead, which I did not like nearly as much as I wanted to.
And see, that's like I said, that's the thing with Snyder. And like much like we just said with Alex Garland, one thing that works great with Garland is that his movies always look fantastic, but he's got really good writing and a really strong cast around him. Zack Snyder, I think visually, his movies look really, really good. They do. And he always has a really good cast around him. The problem is that his script and his directing is not always up to par. Now, he had some strong movies right out the gate, like Dawn of the Dead, which I'm sorry, like I love Dawn of the Dead, but it doesn't hold up as well as it did back in 2004. 300, I still love. But the rest of his movies, they're okay to bad. They're not great. And I don't count Zack Snyder's Justice League because that's just a mismatch of two films put together. But I'm still intrigued by this movie. I'm still going to go in with an open mindset for this movie because we don't let Rotten Tomato dictate whether a movie's good or not for me and Brian, because there's a lot of movies that they consider like a 14% that we actually think is fucking great.
Well,
So
especially with this movie, because I'm looking at it right now, and Rotten Tomatoes, it currently with like
it's 24.
is a 24%. The audience ratings is 74%, but that's because the Zack Snyder nut huggers who haven't even seen it yet came out in full force. Because if you look at the audience reviews, everything is either a half star or 5 stars, and it's like, okay, it's one of those movies.
And we also don't follow the audience score because what movie was it earlier this year where you and I both hated the movie, but the audience score was like super high. We're like,
12
what's
of
that?
those. There's so many of those, honestly.
I don't know. There was one that you and I were like adamant and like, nah, screw the audience score. Oh, it was for the sneaker movie. It was a sneaker movie that we watched. Kung Pao. It was Kung Pao.
Oh yeah.
It was Kung Pao. The audience score was like fucking like in the 80s and some shit. And I was like, no, this movie's dog shit. But yeah, it's I'm hopeful that this movie's at least I don't want to feel like I waste my time with this. I'm not expecting to be blown out by this movie. I'm not expecting to be over the moon in love with this film because it's part one of a story. That was one thing that you and I were worried about too. Is that once again, it's another incomplete story, which is something that's very 2023 this year, where we're getting just half films. But
although the good news in this case is only 5 months till the second part.
Exactly, we don't have to wait too long for part two. But it looks intriguing enough. And, it's kind of like a Zack Snyder Star Wars. Here's hoping it's fun, but right now, if anything, it's making our expectations low. So it's really hard to go lower. So there's a chance they could surprise us and we like it, or it could be, nope, they're right on the money. We'll find out, next week when it comes out. The other movie that comes out is probably my most anticipated film of the year, obviously remaining, which I know is not saying much because there's, 15 days left of the year. But this movie has been high on my list all year long, mainly because it's a pro wrestling movie, and that's Iron Claw. I have heard great word of mouth from this movie so far. I have heard that Zac Efron is fantastic in this film, and that's something that Brian and I have been trying to champion for the last 2-3 years, is that we like Zac Efron a lot, but he needs a film that puts him into the next level of actors. We were hoping the Ted Bundy movie was going to do it. It didn't do it. We were hoping the Greatest Beer Run Ever was going to do it. It didn't do it. This looks like that could hopefully be it. For anyone who knows, if you're a pro wrestling fan, and I mean a legitimate pro wrestling fan, we all know who the Von Erichs are. We all know the story of the Von Erichs. And if you haven't, there's a Dark Side of the Ring. I think season 2 has a whole episode dedicated to them. It's a tough story to get through. I am so excited for this film. Like I said, Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White as well. There's a few other people in the movie that I am excited to see in this. I cannot wait to watch this. There will be 1,000% a review for this. The only reason there will not be a review for this next week is that for some fucking reason, because of where I live, they decide not to release it in theaters, which I will be fuming if that movie is
I
not
was almost
released.
going to go see an early screening of this and just taunt Sean with how I'd seen this movie that he hadn't, but it was only playing in downtown Chicago. I'm like, I'm not driving 2 hours to watch it. So
yeah, so but that's what's coming out. Like I said, heard great word of mouth. I hope it's true. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. And
you also have Aquaman too. Aquaman, whatever,
yeah, Aquaman
whatever.
Yeah,
and Anyone But You, which I am still looking forward to, despite the presence of Sydney Sweeney.
I keep seeing more and more trailer shots of this, and I keep more and more going, oh man, this movie's not going to be good.
You know what? I think it still has potential. I still think that she doesn't seem like much of an actress, but again, I've never watched any of like the shows and stuff that people say she's great on. But Glenn Powell, we obviously both love, and
Yeah.
I've some of the trailers and things I have seen, I've been trying to avoid like start releasing clips and things. I don't watch any of that stuff, but I still hold out that it still has potential.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna not watch it, but I'm just kind of like with Rebel Moon now. I'm just going in with the lowest of low expectations and hope that it does enough to make me go, you know what, that wasn't bad, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily Christmas movies this year, but they're movies being released around Christmas. Just came out this weekend. Haven't got to watch it yet. Neither has Brian. The Family Plan on Apple TV, which Brian and I had basically dubbed The Big Hit Part 2, and that's the only way we can deem ourselves worthy of watching this movie, is that we try to make it the sequel to the, is it 1997?
98.
Okay, 98. The 1998 action comedy The Big Hit, starring a very young Mark Wahlberg before he was huge. If you guys have not seen that, it's a fun movie. So we are
It's
basically,
probably still my favorite Mark Wahlberg movie, honestly.
it is. It's so good. We are trying to train our brains into buying that this movie is the unannounced sequel to that, and that won't make sense to you unless you saw The Big Hit.
Because him
And
now married with kids and still trying to do the job. So yeah.
exactly. So Brian says he's not going to watch it unless I watch it first and tell him, like with Candy Cane
Because
Lane.
it doesn't look good, honestly.
I'm holding out hope that it can stay consistent with our dreams that this is a Big Hit sequel. But if it is, we will definitely talk about it on the next episode. I don't know if that movie is warranted of having an actual review for it. But I also, like I said, I'm going to be seeing Wonka this weekend. I'll have a review out. That review might be out before this is out, just because it takes a lot longer to edit these videos than it does a little review for a movie. So there are a lot of videos coming out. I know we haven't been shooting a lot lately because, once again, it's holiday season, and it's just been hard to get us together to talk. We barely have gotten to talk much in the last 2 months because of just life in general. But like Brian said at the beginning of the episode, we've got reviews for Wonka, Iron Claw, all these movies that are coming out. But we're nearing the end of the year. We've got the best and worst of 2023, the most surprising, most disappointing of 2023, and of course the most anticipated for 2024, and then of course our third annual The Movie Crusaders Award Show. We got plenty of stuff coming, guys, trust me. So please keep sticking around, please keep watching. We enjoy it. Let us know in the comments, have you guys watched any of this stuff? Are you excited about any of the trailers we talked about? Do you guys also not give a flying fuck about the Golden Globes like Brian does? If you guys are fans of Andre, what was your favorite Breaking or Brooklyn Nine-Nine moment of his character, Hoyt? What have you guys watched recently? What did you guys like? Let us know. Are you guys fans of Godzilla Minus One? Do you guys give a shit that Godzilla went Barbie power and Godzilla X Kong? Let us know what you guys think, and we'll be back next time. We are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Walskrug. That is Brian Michaels. And until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies, go have some fun. And in case we guys don't see you till then, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and hopefully before then, Happy New Year.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.